Bears country. Where is it? It's in your man cave. Your home. Your car. Your local bar. Your city. State. It's across the world. It's in your heart. And it's here. The Bears Country Podcast.
Welcome to Bears Country Podcast. Last week on Wednesday, I did a show with this amazing woman named Lynn Hayden, who I found on YouTube, who has her awesome own channel called Let's Talk Chicago Bears. And so we decided to make this an every Wednesday segment called The Lowdown with Lynn. So let's bring Lynn on. Lynn Hayden, how you doing? How are you feeling?
I am okay. Dan, I'm a little under the weather, but the show must go on, Dan.
There's been something going around. I had it too, so it seems to be traveling across the country. So
I think it is. Yeah, it's a virus. So people wear your mask. I went out today and I actually wore my mask when I was out in public. So I'm like, yeah, I got to do the right thing, even though it sucks.
Well, thank you for doing this, despite you not feeling so well. So we had a great time last week.
Anything for you, my friend Dan. Come on, we want to talk Bears.
I still can't believe that you ate at Sammy's and Orlando's. Like, just two of the best places.
I know. Yeah, I know. And people are probably, what are you guys talking about? Well, if you didn't watch us last week, we found out, a couple miles from each other in Illinois? And this young man probably served me at Sammy's. Right?
The first place I ever worked, making Italian beefs and hot dogs and burgers. And then how I'm able to make them myself. I make Italian beefs no matter where I live. So
that place
thank you for that job.
Yeah, that was the best. Yeah. And then, of course, Orlando's best pizza ever, and everything was very good.
Oh, yeah. Everything they have there is so delicious.
Definitely.
Now I'm getting hungry.
I know, me too.
So how do you feel about this? I didn't get a chance to watch your podcast because I've been a little bit busy, but how do you feel about this horrible loss, 20-12 to the Giants? Let's just talk about that. We'll get that out of the way, and then we can kind of talk a little bit moving forward into the Giants game coming up here this weekend.
Yeah, that game was embarrassing. It really was. I mean, well, first I do the top three things. And, we've talked about this before. If you win the battle of penalties, 5 or less, you win the time of possession or the turnover battle, you're going to win the game. Mm-hmm. They did win the penalty battle, but not really. They had 5 penalties. That's my rule, 5 or less. But it was 77 yards. New York had 7 penalties, but only 52 yards. So really, we lost that. We lost the time of possession. And believe it or not, I called for 2 turnovers last week on your show. We got the 2 turnovers, but they got 3. And the thing that really made me mad about that, not only did we turn the ball over 3 times, we actually let it go 6 times. I'm not sure people paid attention to that. We got 3 back, but that's not good. It could have been way worse. And I mean, and
And the sacks. Justin
uh,
Fields was sacked 6 times.
6 times for 16 so far this year. And you can't do that. I mean, you're going to kill this kid. I mean, he's got enough problems right now. And the fact that every time he turns around, he's getting sacked, it's a problem. And then your defense gives up 262 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't understand, Dan, about the defense is, I mean, I do and I don't. But okay, so in the last 4 games, we've talked about this. In the second half, they've given up 0 touchdowns. Only, 6 field goals in the last 4 games in the second half, which is actually awesome.
That's an impressive stat.
Very
that gives you hope.
It does give you hope, but I know that they're making the adjustments at halftime, but Jesus, why can't you be prepared ahead of time so we don't have to make those adjustments?
Yeah, I think that it's just that, it's like a boxing match where you have to kind of feel out the strikes, where they're dodging, they're zigging and zagging, and you have to kind of come together at halftime and work out a plan. The bootleg, the whole freaking game, that bothered me. It's not that hard.
No.
Why was it so difficult to stop the bootleg?
Exactly. And, at the second half of the game, we knocked out both of their quarterbacks. And, then Daniel Jones comes back and he's got a sprained ankle. So, no, he's not running on us anymore. And we still couldn't stop him. They're doing the Wildcat and all that other crap. And it was embarrassing. It really was. And, the thing is, with our offense, too, I'm not digging this offensive coordinator right now. I don't like his offensive his play. I'm one of my viewers wrote in his comments, I'm having a Nagy flashback, and I said, I know.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
Exactly, and that guy. He's just, I don't get it. I mean, I obviously I'm not an offensive coordinator, right? But I try. You got the line, it's banged up, it's inexperienced, it's young, whatever. We just don't have a good line. And maybe get some short passes, 6-7 yards, and just start doing that to give Justin some confidence. Maybe throw to your running backs and your tight ends, because I don't know. And then, when he gets down to the red zone, it's a freaking joke. I mean,
I know. There's no one to go up for a contested ball.
Nope. No.
There was 2 instances in the game where Justin was rolling to his right and threw a ball up to EQ, and that if he just would have actually put his hands out and tried to go for the ball. And then there's another one that was down the left sideline to oh God, I can't believe it. Dante Pettis. And that one went. It was a really good ball thrown right over the defender's head, and he went up for it. He just doesn't have the catch range. They need that guy. They're missing that guy. Maybe they get that back with N'Keal Harry coming back this week.
I really hope so, because you're right on those 2 passes. I know which ones you're talking about, and both times my son and I were both like, Jesus, if we had he threw him where he was throwing to his receiver, was the only one that was going to catch it. They were good passes on his part. I'll give him that. But these receivers, oh my God,
And then this prized draft pick that we have with this 4.3 speed everyone's dying to see, he finally makes it onto the field, and he's only catching passes or punts. And then he fumbles a punt at the most critical time in the game.
I mean, it was the most critical, because we still technically were in that game. I mean, we only needed a touchdown. And
you're freezing up. Let me freeze up with her. Yep, she's not back in time. But to her, she'll be back in a second. If we lose her, she'll pop back in. But to her point.
Yes,
go ahead. You froze up.
Yeah. A critical point. We tie the game up. I think the Bears could have won it because their quarterbacks were banged up. They only had Daniel Jones left, and he was hurting big time. So, but he fumbles are you kidding me? And you know what? The other annoying part was when Eddie Jackson got that great interception. Love Eddie. The Bears went 3 and out on offense. You can't
Mm-hmm.
do that. You just
Mm-hmm.
can't do that. I mean, it's bad
I
enough
know.
you score, thank God. And thank God for Mike. What is his name? Bagley? The
Badgley, Michael
Badgley.
Badgley.
I mean, thank God for him. I mean, he was the only one that scored any points, and we just signed him on Friday, and now he's gone.
Yeah, they put him on the practice squad, and then the Lions took him from us.
I know. Well, sure. I mean, he did. He's the only one that scored any points. God bless him, right? But
Yeah.
it was pretty embarrassing, and I believe it was a total team loss, including coaches all the way down. There wasn't really much brightness to that game. There was a few things. The Eddie Jackson interception. I liked the turnover the Bears got on the punt return.
Mm-hmm.
I liked number 9. What's his name? Baskin. You know me. With names.
Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah, Brisker.
Yeah.
And I'm liking this kid. And, he shows signs each week. He got a sack this week. And he's
Mhm.
showing signs that
That kid's a stud. That kid is a bright future on this team. He's a bright spot for us to look forward to on the future of this team.
I really do. And I, as a matter of fact, I was watching the Penn State game over the weekend, and they were talking about him. They said, we really miss him. I'm like, yeah, we're digging him, So,
oh, yeah, they do. They miss him.
Yeah, they really do. But he is a nice bright spot, but there wasn't too much else.
No, I mean, Justin Fields was running for his life. I made a little video about it. He was just.
I saw that. Did you? Is that the one you showed out there? Did I see that? Yeah.
Well, I had it. I used it last week on Monday's show, but I just posted the video on YouTube. It's like a 1.5 minute video, if that. I think it's less than that. I think it's a minute video of just all the punishment he's taking in that game. That was one game,
right?
And you're watching him just run for his life. It feels like that's what I was seeing the entire game.
Yeah,
every time
it really was
for his life. He drops back to pass. I know that there's a lot of that is on him too. It's not. I shouldn't say a lot of it, but there is two sides to the coin, right? So.
Yes.
There are things that he's doing wrong too.
Yes.
This is a learning curve.
Yeah. Right.
I watched on the bar room last night. Coach T was on the Dan and Eldo show, and he described this perfectly. He said, if I take one offensive passing play, just one offensive passing play on offense, how many different ways do you think that the defense can stop that one passing play? Maybe it's like two guys go like that, and then one guy goes deep, right?
Right.
It's the same pass. And the answer was 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So Coach T said 6 different ways to stop that one play. So now you take 200 plays, passing plays on offense, and times that by 6. You have that's a lot. That's a lot of different things that you have to learn as a quarterback.
Right.
And even Mooney talked about it himself in the press conference, that there's things that he wasn't. Some concepts were exactly the same verbiage, everything as the previous coaching staff, but they did something different in that situation. And he had a mishap in his own head, and he did the thing he remembered from last year, just out of muscle memory, really.
Right.
Forgot that he had to do the receivers are changing the plays. They're changing the hot routes within. That's why I was saying, like, plays within plays.
Yes.
So the play just might start off as this one thing you drop in the sand, but as anybody knows, if once you get up to the line, things change based on the coverage that you're looking at, and the receivers know, and Justin should know, and they're going to get on. That's what makes Aaron Rodgers so damn good, and Tom Brady. They get on the same page with those guys. Everyone knows where that window is and what the timing of that throw. Oh, I see that's open right there.
Yep.
We're changing that hot route to instead of a 5 yards in slant, we're doing it to a 3 yard in slant, and it's instead of a 3-step drop, it's a 1-step drop, and it's those are the things that great quarterbacks do. And Justin Fields just needs to learn the offense. And
100%.
eventually all the plays built into those plays and the 6 different ways that defense can stop that one passing play, he'll eventually have a Rolodex of them in his head and he'll get better. So
Well, exactly.
we can't poo-poo on, there's a lot of things going wrong. The offensive line.
Yes.
I mean, as soon as Whitehair got taken out, they put in Lucas Patrick on the next play, and he just gets run right past for a sack.
I know.
So there's a lot to blame on a lot of people.
There is a lot to blame on that. And like I said,
it's a team game. It's a team win. It's a team loss.
It really was. There was no one dimension to that game that lost it for us. It was a team, the defense and the offense. They couldn't score and they couldn't stop the run.
Right.
So if you can't score touchdowns, you're in deep trouble. Okay, we're talking Pee Wee League then,
Right.
I mean, come on. And even Mooney finally stepped up. He had 92 yards, which was nice to see, but we need more consistency. And you're right, we don't have that one guy that can go over the defenders. We just don't have that, and we got to go get it in the offseason. 100%, And
I don't think they should go spending money on that. I think they need to draft well.
Oh, draft, definitely.
Yeah.
We're going to finally have a first round this year. So my dream is get yourself a good offensive lineman, first round. Second round is when you could get a good receiver. A lot of good receivers come round 2. So, and the way the season's going, I'm pretty sure we're going to be picking high. I'm pretty sure.
The amount of great players taken in the second round is actually staggering. It's better than the first round.
Yes. But you want to get that offensive lineman, because we need one desperately, a really solid kid that's going to be. I hope they're looking at Iowa. Iowa has such great linemen, and some. They I swear they grow them there. But and I'm like, yeah, go look at them, man. They got some players there. But
all the Big Ten schools develop. Illinois makes some good offensive linemen too.
They really do. The Big Ten does. When you listen to the teams, when they do it, when they say where they're from, a lot of Big Ten for these linemen, and that's desperate. So that's a problem for Justin. There's no doubt about it. And it's going to go on all year. It's unfortunate. That's why they're going to, I don't know. The OC has got to, his calls are just horrible, and we're too vanilla. The team knows what we're doing. The other team, I mean, when me and my son are sitting in the living room and we predict, it's like, okay, that's not good. If we can predict what they're going to do, okay, it's like, it's just
they had a spy on Justin Fields the whole time. Every time they did a bootleg, there was somebody in his face. There was somebody in his face the whole time. It was
absolutely.
It was hard to get that pocket established for him, and.
Yeah, and when they did, we saw those passes. Unfortunately, they were not caught that we talked about. Mr. Mooney did okay. But, yeah, the 2 that we talked about that were missed, those were 2 gainers that we could have really enjoyed. Although we get down to the red zone, we can't score. So I don't know what we're going to do. We got to score outside of the red zone.
I know. Just a big play. Let's make something happen, man. It's just so anemic.
It was. That's the thing about the game. I've said, and you've said, we both said on our shows, this is going to be an up and down season. It's growing. They're all so young, new coaches, everything. But when you play a team that was hurt like they were, and then they, lose their quarterback, the second one comes in, you knock him out, he comes back, and you still can't beat him.
The first play that they put in, Tyrod Taylor, he had a freaking bootleg to the left and got a first down on it. First or second play is like,
I know,
Groundhog Day. It's just on repetition.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what the heck? So that's the thing that really upset me was just, the lack of. I just didn't, the lack of everything in that game. That's, I wouldn't be as mad if we were really in it and fighting, but it just, I don't know. Lackluster.
Well, really, the one game that we weren't in was the Green Bay game. I mean, we were in it, but these other 3,
we've been in them. And we would have been in the Green Bay game if those officials weren't paid off by Wisconsin people, because that ball crossed the line.
Yeah, clearly there's something in that budget that the fan owners pay into.
Because they always get it. It always goes their way.
the one thing that the Bears are missing is that big man eater in the middle on the defensive line. They're missing that Ted Washington,
Yes.
that what's the guy from the Vince Wilfork from the Patriots back in the day. Like they need a guy like that
Those
on the
guys
defensive
were
line.
awesome, and they were bruisers, man. They were big and they could play. You're
The
right.
problem with shifting from a defensive system, they went from a 4-3. We've never had a 3-4 until John Fox, and then they kept that 3-4 going with Vic Fangio, and then now we go back to a 4-3. I prefer the 3-4 because you have more linebackers to roam the field, and that's where Roquan Smith was so good playing a middle linebacker in a 3-4. Then you have Khalil Mack that had the ability to do some roaming. And even the guy that we drafted, Gibson.
Oh, Gibson.
Travis Gibson kind of has a little bit of that, but at least to cover some space. But once you start, going into a 4-3 front, and you only have those three linebackers, and one has to cover, the Roquan Smith has to cover that rangy side of the field. Then you need the other guy to be able to cover a running back or a slot receiver, and now it's like it gets out of balance for my liking. So I prefer the 3-4 myself. But now we're going back to a 4-3, so it's gonna take a moment, like it did for the Bears going from a 4-3 to a 3. They're gonna have to redraft players and sign players. Now that we have this first pick in this next draft, I guarantee is going to be a interior defensive lineman.
Whether it's over an offensive lineman? Really?
I would think so, yeah. I guess it depends on where they're sitting. If they have the 7th pick.
It depends on where they're sitting, and it depends on what kind of class comes out this year. What kind of defense guys, lines, and offensive guys. If it's a weak in one and better in the other, then that's really probably, you're right. It's going to determine. Those are the two areas we need them really bad: defense and offensive line, right there. So it'll probably determine on the weight of the class how much is the talent is there, right? And if they think they can wait to the second round, well then cool, But
if there's a stud sitting there, that's who they're taking.
Well, I hear you on that. And
look at the wide receiver in the second round.
Right. Yes. Well, we definitely need that, hands down. I mean, you got to give them somebody. You got to have a number one, and then you can have Mr. Mooney as your number two. Then we're back to doing what we used to do before, and then Mooney can really step up. That's when he thrives as number two. He's not a number one, and I love him, but he's not a number one. He's a number two. So, and that doesn't.
You can make the argument that Robinson, even though he wasn't, really playing when he was on the field, he did take away. Yes. He commanded that respect. But when he got injured for that 6 or 7 games, Mooney still did produce. And I think that's kind of where the argument comes in for some fans that think that maybe he is a one,
Yeah, but I don't know. There's just so much wrong.
We need that contested ball catcher. I'm hoping that N'Keal Harry adds that value to the team.
I certainly hope so, because I went and got him, and we need a spark. We need something to give hope for Justin Fields. Where he can whip that ball down there, and only he's going to catch it, and that's what we need. And but I don't.
It'll happen.
I know, and then the defense. So just go back one more time. I know we want to talk about the Vikings. There was a lot of missed tackles, and even by the good guys, Roquan missed a few, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And Quinn, I said to my son, "I wish they would have kept Mack and got rid of Quinn." I'm telling you right now, because it's like, are you done from last year? I know you were saying he has up and down years. Well, then I would have rather have Mack, but no one was going to give money for Quinn like they did Mack. So, but
they did dump that salary. They had to pay it this year, but at least it's off the books next year.
It is. And that's really what next year is going to be about, because my son was like, he's always bitching, well, they haven't done this. And I go, Mike, it's the first year. They didn't want to pour a lot of money. They want to see what they got. They want to get everybody comfortable in the system, like Poles. He did the opposite. He made major changes in the beginning, and it cost us. And
I mean, pace.
Yeah, pace.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get it, because they all have the same first names. It
I know.
confuses
It's
the shit out of
ridiculous.
me.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, me too. Everybody makes that mistake.
I know. So yeah, pace. So polls is just sitting back now. Next year, I do believe they're going to go all in. They're going to go have a good draft, I believe, and then they're going to go to the free agency because now they're going to know what they really truly need and what they have.
Yeah, that's
So,
what everyone's pointing to next year. I was hoping for better this year, but
me too. Now, it could turn around, although we got some tough games coming up. So which leads into the Vikings.
the Vikings. First off, let's go over the injury report for this week.
Oh yes.
So Bears. So Matthew Adams hamstring, limited practice. Dane Cruikshank hamstring, did not participate or did not practice. Ryan Griffin Achilles, limited participation. And then we got Jalen Johnson, Jalen Jones, and David Montgomery all did not participate. So that doesn't look good for, if DNP pretty much means you're not in the game. So
yes, exactly. And Cody Whitehair.
And Cody Whitehair is on injured reserve now.
Right. He's out for at least 4 games. So, and Jalen Johnson, man, we miss him a lot. Because that doesn't, if he's in, they only got one side of the field to really throw at. Now they got both because they got youth out there, So
I know.
We miss him a lot. And
we are missing him for sure.
We're going to miss him a lot Sunday because it's in Minnesota, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Cousins is going to eat up that secondary. I mean, he is what is he in the league? I forget what he is, but their rushing is 13th and their passing is 13th. Ours is Jesus. It's 32nd. So
and it's not even close to 31st.
No, it's not. So yes, you got some. Yeah. So there's going to be, they've definitely on paper could whip our butts. They got a great wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. And they got Delvin Cook. So the defense has got their work cut out for them this week, way more than last week. And that was what concerns me, is this is a much more talented team. So
let's go back to here. This is the Vikings' first 2 games. Cousins, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns. Second game, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. And then Delvin Cook, 90 yards, and 17 the next game. And then Kirk Cousins, 260, game 3, game 4, 273. So what does he have on the season? What is that? Let's go back. 2, 3.
Total? It's 14 something, isn't it?
Touchdowns, interceptions.
Oh, that
4, 5, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for Cousins. Delvin Cook, 17 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown in game 3, game 4, 20 for 76. But this is going to be the game that he'll come out and have 146 yards rushing against the Bears.
He hasn't had a 100-yard game yet. And so I'm like, oh, that's good. But watch. Although, you know what? The thing about the Bears is you watch. They'll come out and they'll play their asses off and whoop them. And we'll be like, okay, what happened? That's what they do. I mean,
these Lions, or not Lions, the Lions games, I feel confident about that. But the Vikings games,
you never know who you're going to get when you face the Vikings. You could have
sometimes we just
or bad, right?
Right. Sometimes it's a evenly matched game, and they just can't get it together, and we beat them. And sometimes they just kick our ass.
Right. And you never know with them. It just can go either way. And we're better on the defense for the most part, except for they have 9 sacks. We have 7. And they have 3 interceptions. We have 4. They have 3 forced fumbles. We have 3. So that way, and let's see where they are scoring points. Where's the Bears are 19th in allowing points, and Vikings are 20th. So on defense. So we're very evenly matched on the defense side. The offense side is where it's.
I've got some defensive stats here for the Vikings too. These are the first 2 games. Look at the tackling machine. They have a tackling machine every game. Jordan Hicks, 14.
That's going to be a problem.
Harrison Smith, 13. Then you go to game 3 and 4. Jordan Hicks again, 14. And then Kendricks with 8. It's like that's like the first time they didn't have a double digit. Look at the Lions. 14, 11, 11, 8.
Yes, no kidding. Wow.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, how do you? I Kirk Cousins doesn't scare me. I know the guy's smart. He can read a defense. He seems to lack that clutch gene.
yes.
And I'm sure I'm going to be doing a podcast soon with a Vikings fan. We're doing a game preview, and I'm sure he would say the same thing. I can't wait to ask him.
I'm sure they're disappointed. And, they thought when they were signing him, and then they were so close to the Super Bowl a few years ago, and it was like, okay. And he doesn't come up when it's big. It's like, okay, this is the time now. And he didn't do that at Michigan State. He had the same problem, and he had some issues. They say with his attitude and this stuff, because I remember when he was at Michigan State, he was never made the captain, which is unusual for a quarterback. And so I just don't know about him, but you're right. But you never know. You're going to have good Kirk, bad Kirk. So you don't know who we're going to have on Sunday. I'm hoping bad Kirk shows up, and if we could get a bunch of interceptions, although we had 2 and couldn't win last week. But if we can, intercept him a few times, get in his head, might have a chance. Because
here's what scares me about him. Kirk Cousins on primetime. If this was a 7:00, Sunday night football game or a Thursday night or a Monday night, I say Bears win that game.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You go putting Kirk Cousins at noon, and it's like he has that pressure taken off of him, and he functions better. I don't know. Right. That's what scares me about this game.
Yeah. Yes. And that's going back to what I said. When it comes to when he really needs to be there, he's not. He doesn't show up for the big time. So. Yeah, I hear you.
That's because the playoffs are in prime time.
That's right. No kidding. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope at least that we're in this game, and that we can score some touchdowns. I mean, let's face it, everybody out there has got to be. I'm sure the radio guys in Illinois were just livid on sorry. We're livid.
Gotta take the pizza out of the oven.
I know. They're livid on after the game because they couldn't score any touchdowns, and I
can't even listen to them.
Did you?
I can't.
Yeah, well, I sometimes can, but we had to record the game this last week, so we did not watch it live. We watched.
No, I mean I can, but I can't physically stomach listening to.
I was so mad after that game, and I had to my son was so mad, so I was trying to be in a good mood for him, but you're just like, I don't want to even talk about him, so I do that 24-hour rule, and then I'm like, okay, now we can move on. Right. And that's what you got to do. We're going to have to do all season because it's going to be that.
I have a theory about Bears podcasts. I think that the reason why there are so many of them is because it's the Bears fans that leave the state and they don't have the score to listen to all day long to piss them off all day while they're in their car, and so they start to become a little bit more positive about the outlook on things. And then they say, hey, let me start a Bears podcast because I want to have some optimistic perspective on this because I don't have to listen to that anymore. And I know I can listen to the score. I put it on the app and listen to it, but it's just so maddening. It is. I don't want you to make me feel like this all the time,
because that's what they do. I mean, I remember that in Illinois.
That's how it is living there.
More pissed off than I was before I turned it on. And you're right. And you're right. It is a lot nicer being away from all that chatter now, and you can look at things a little clearly without all of that behind, in your ears. And
because you don't have that constant going on around you everywhere.
Exactly. And they're always very negative. We know that,
Yeah.
So but there's, like I said, Sunday's game, there's not a lot of positives, but hopefully this week.
And I understandably, I mean, you have 3 nice months out of the year, and then it's back to ice fishing and the Bears. And then when the one damn thing you've been looking forward to all year,
not the truth.
One of the two, the Bears. If you can't ice fish and the Bears suck, what else is there to do? It just makes you an irritable bastard. So I get it. It's
Tell me about it. And I don't even have ice fishing.
I never even used to enjoy ice fishing until I moved, and when I go home, I like to ice fish with my family. It's fun.
Yeah, they don't do that in Vegas.
No,
But no.
you're not going to have water there much longer.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're running out. And then as we're running out, the bodies are surfacing that have been thrown into it.
Lynn, I have a great idea to solve the problem. Let's build a stadium in Las Vegas for football. We're running out of water, and the one thing that powers our electricity is the water. Let's build a stadium. What a grand idea.
Now they want to bring a baseball team here. So
let's do it. Let's do it.
I know.
Let's just get all that electricity and water sucked out of the Colorado River in Las Vegas. And
you have no idea how people around here, and they're building houses like crazy. It's like people are like, what the hell? It's like, I know. But
there's a podcast that I watch about a guy. His family goes out like once a month, and they show you the water level drop.
Oh God!
And they've been doing it for like a year or two, and it's
depressing.
It's like a half a mile.
Oh yeah, it's scary. It's very, very scary.
It's a good thing they made that road that went all the way down into the bottom of the damn thing before they filled it with water, so that when it finally recedes, they still at least have a boat dock.
Right, exactly. Well, it's California that's the biggest abuser of it, believe it or not. It goes California, Arizona, Vegas. And
that's because it's not as big yet.
We're not that big,
right?
We consume a lot, but it's a small community. People don't realize how small it is here. I mean, Vegas is small, but
yeah, I've been there a million times. I do like it.
Your football team is bad when you start talking about water levels.
No shit. Back to the Vikings game. So, what's your confidence level in this game? Like, what do you? What's your?
Well, it's funny.
You have a score? You have a score prediction?
I will do that 1 second. We all picked the other team last week to score 13. You did, I did, and then somebody else on one of your other shows did too. And when we all said the Bears were going to score 20 or 22 or whatever, so we should have flipped it, right? I'm going to say I'm not really very good at predicting. I don't like doing that, but I'll say, from what I've seen, I got to say this. I'm going to say the Bears are going to score 14. Doesn't mean those are touchdowns. Well, one has to be. And I'm going to say the defense, they're going to be better this week. Although they only gave out 20 points. It's not huge, but it was New York. I'm going to say 24. 24-14.
24-14 Vikings?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
don't like to. I've picked the Bears every single game this year. And I hate not picking the Bears.
I know what you're saying. That's why I don't.
But I'm gonna go like 24-9.
Vikings.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you. People are like, oh, you should bet on my. Even when I used to bet in those suicide, not the suicide pools, but the other ones where you go 1 to 416 and you pick who's going to be the best.
Confidence pool.
Yeah. I was always hated that because I never wanted to not pick the Bears. So I always picked them to win and put 1.
That's so did I.
Unless it was, a year where you knew they were going to win 1 game, but it was always usually Bears with 1 point.
Every week, if they're playing the Packers, I just put a 1 there and I work backwards from there.
And people used to laugh at me like I just can't help it. That's a true.
I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
What?
I'm glad to know that I am not alone.
Oh no, you're not. See, we're true Bears fans. The true ones do stuff like that.
That's why I can't play fantasy football. My friends, ever since it came out, have been trying to get me to do it. I'm like, no, every year, no.
I know.
I'll pick the Bears. I'll pick the entire team would be Bears.
I know, and you can't do that because you're not going to win. So,
by now the strategies, like when it was first came out, the strategy from then to how they do it now is completely different because the game has changed. So,
so much.
I'm always wondering why. Wait, you picked Aaron Rodgers in the 7th round? Shouldn't that
I
have been your
know.
first pick? It doesn't make any sense
It's
to me.
changed a lot. I know. I've heard that recently, and I'm like, okay, see, I wouldn't be very good at that then. So I don't get how they all do that, but that's why I just like to watch the game. I like to watch football. I'm a huge, I've told you college and that's all I do. I start Thursday
Mhm.
night and I finish Sunday night or Monday night. I mean, and
Mhm.
yeah. So, but we're Bears fans. What are we gonna do? I
I
mean,
know it's.
my poor son,
Have
he's
you
mad
ever
at me
seen?
for making him a Bears fan.
Have you ever seen this, Lynn? I don't think I.
What? Oh, cool. No, I did not see that before.
My light's
Liking
not on.
it.
Hold on.
I like it. Like
Yeah.
it.
It's a jersey under my skin.
Now that's a real fan, folks. Okay.
I never wanted a tattoo, but I drew it
I'm-
myself. So
Yeah, I wouldn't. My son has tattoos, but he doesn't. I don't think he wants to go that far.
uh,
Unless they win a Super Bowl soon, I don't think.
yeah,
that's
maybe right.
You're
Super
right.
Bowl, blah blah blah, across his arm.
Yep, that would be awesome. But so we'll
Well-
just have to see what happens on Sunday, right? It's got to keep our fingers.
Yeah,
crossed.
I wish I could predict a win, but I'm not gonna. I thought they were gonna go 11-6, and this is the game one of the first games I had them losing. So they're already a game behind. I didn't have them. I think I had them going. I'm sorry, 4-0 up to this point, and then they were losing to the Vikings because I thought we were going to beat the Packers in the beginning of the year with such a fresh team that they had no real game film of. I definitely thought we were going to beat the Giants, but I knew the Giants were always a weird game, so I kind of reserved one of those losses for last week or the Vikings, and I don't know. I just with the way that this offense is,
go 11-6, sweetheart. So
I hate to be. I'm not being negative. I just think that the offense has a ways to go. They have some learning to do, and it's going to happen. It's all happening on the fly as we watch it happen in real time. So
and that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. To be quite honest with anybody out there, it could complete what we're talking about could be completely washed away, and they win and they look good. And then,
most of the scores that I predicted have been the opposite. So if I say 24-9, Bears lose,
okay,
maybe they win.
I'll take it, my friend, because we'd like to get a win before we start playing some of these better teams, at least on paper, because we do have some tough ones coming up. So, and we're going to be on Thursday nights. We've got Vikings, and then the next game is Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
And who is that? Is it? Oh, it's the Patriots on Thursday night. So we have 10 days to get ready for them. And they're beatable, in my opinion.
Me too. Yeah.
That's the one team. But then it starts getting hard because then we start with Miami.
Oh, God, let's not even go that far. Let's just take one game at a time.
You're right. But you're right. Yeah, you are absolutely. What am I talking about? This is the Bears.
Well, I think that's a wrap, folks. Lynn,
yes.
Awesome show.
Yes.
Once again, thank you for joining me to do this. This is great. The Lowdown with Lynn Hayden. We hope you like this content. If you do, please subscribe to Bears Country Podcast.
Yes.
We'll be doing this every Wednesday around the same time. So we appreciate you. And remember how we end this, right?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Bears.